So, The Fantastic Four is Marvel's next big tentpole movie and one of their last movies before Avengers Doomsday. If Spider-Man 4 does not get delayed, there has been rumors from very good sources that that might get pushed to 2027. So, it still could be the last movie before we get to Avengers Doomsday. Now, the marketing press tour, because this movie comes out next month, it's not got off to a very good start. When you have co-leads, you have Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal doing numbers on annoying people and making people think, what's the freaking hell of the point to watch this movie? Also, Disney's recently had a public test screening where they're like, yo, Dr. Doom's in this movie, come see this movie. And if we look back, see, I keep receipts. If we look back, all the information coming out during the press tour, during press junkets, it is really leading to me to believe the reason why we didn't get someone like Adam Driver is because of the MCU female agenda-driven stuff that appears to be in this movie. And I know what you're going to say, equality, equality, equality. But if you look at the numbers, even Black Widow herself, Scarlett Johansson, her movie didn't do very well. We look at the Marvels, basically fell off a wall. People don't want female-driven movies. And it's not even the problem with that. It's just the storylines are not very good. And it appears this movie is going to be female-driven as well. And the plot leaks, the original plot leaks said that basically Sue is going to be in charge and Reed is just going to be some kind of side character. It appears all this information is true. Why is Pedro actually Reed Richards? I don't know. He looks more like Tony Stark, if you ask me. So don't! Just watch the video before you judge what I'm about to say. So, yo, what is good, YouTube? Voice you here. If you are new around here, make sure to never miss any of my DC Kaiju Monsterverse pop culture-based content. And I try to deliver on a daily basis. You could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know, right? This is just my opinion. Pedro Pascal's not a very good actor. Why is he everywhere? I don't understand how he got himself into Marvel after all the controversy he's constantly causing. Also, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the view face by the voice. And check us out on Twitter, Warstu, and also check us out on TikTok, Warstu. Right, let's get into it. So, Pedro Pascal is always trying to get to be center of attention. Pedro Pascal says he loves being led by a powerful woman as Sue Storm takes the lead in Marvel's Fantastic Four. Now, I know we're going to say, this happened in the comics. This happened in the comics. Okay, cool story, bro. Let's read this, right? Then we can see if you actually care about what was said in the comics. Vanessa Kirby, who recalled laughing with Reed Richards' actor Pedro Pascal when they read the comics from the 60s and saw him buy Sue a dress to stop her from complaining. She similarly hopes to modernize the character, but didn't want to make Sue a bad boss bitch. Instead, she set out to find a genuine feminine soulfulness. See, this is a problem, right? Because normies don't care for this stuff, but Marvel, you know, these Marvel fans on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, we're going to respect the source material. So they're not actually respecting the source material at all. So Pedro Pascal, why is he everywhere? I mean, let's watch Wonder Woman 1984. Not a very good actor. Even in The Last of Us, he's pretty wooden. He's not even a good freaking actor. So he had this to say, right? This is in an interview. He praised his co-worker Vanessa Kirby in a recent interview with Collider, and they have already sparked widespread discussion. Not a good thing. This movie has to hit. And the test screen information comes out and says, yep, there's not really much character development of the whole movie. The movie's about the family, but there isn't really any character development with said characters. I love being led in a way, Pascal said when asked about opposite Kirby. What you may identify as generosity for me, it isn't. I'm only inspired. I guess just powerful women have the thing. They've gotten me through being alive. So to have the opportunity to stand by to learn from one, just a partner, it's a partnership. It's male and female, but it's also kind of transcendent sort of partnership in the work, in the characters. And so I don't really know what the frig I'm going to do without Vanessa, honestly. Interesting. And then Vanessa said, I've never had a male actor as a counterpart who's so utterly equal and supportive of the relationship. But also the female character opposite him, she said, I feel so grateful every day to have an actor like Pedro who is so generous. What the? I don't understand the whole glazing on Pedro Pascal. He's not even a very good actor. So let me get this straight. And I've already, you know, we've already, even in this article alone here, it says about how Sue was actually the leader in the comics. But is that really the actual case here? Is that really the actual case here? So people will come out and say that respect the source material. Literally says both the actors were laughing about the source material and they wanted to modernize the characters. This sounds a little bit like a Snow White movie where you're not respecting the source material and you're just changing stuff because you wanted to. Interesting. Now, I know the director came out and essentially said the same thing, that Sue was always the team leader in the comics. But guess what, lads? This is not the freaking comics. And when we had the movie like the Marvels, the criticism was Marvel pushing female characters in your face. But if you're not going to do them properly and you're going to modernize them, how are you following the source material? Now, I know this is only going to be the case for a tiny part of the audience, which is not the general audience, but I hate this narrative where people say, yeah, the suits have to be comic accurate. The story has to be comic book accurate, but if it's not comic book accurate and you're modernizing it, then you're not actually making it comic book accurate, are you? You're not. And even the producer came out and essentially said Reed Richards isn't the team leader. Sue Storm would lead the Fantastic Four in this movie. And yeah, sure, it's happening in the comics, but we're not following the source material here. So to me and the general audience do actually listen and see things in media. I feel like Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal are actually going to tank their own movie by yapping. Their actors, let them act. Although Pedro Pascal is a pretty mid actor, I do feel like this is going to hurt the movie massively. Now, if we go back to the original plot leaks and the original information going back, apparently people didn't want to take the role. As Sue Storm, it was essentially a female-led movie. Now, we know apparently people like Matt Smith, Adam Driver, Warstu. Reed Richards, being played by Pedro Pascal, was apparently one of the last picks, and they didn't really want him. Apparently, he's the only person that they essentially said they would take the role. So, Pedro getting the role, it's not because they wanted him. It's more like he was the only one that would take the actual role. So, if we go back to plot leaks over like a year ago, it said the movie would essentially, they would take out Galactus with Julia Gardner's version of the Silver Surfer working alongside with Sue Storm. Not really getting much help from Reed Richards. Reed Richards is essentially going to be figuring out how to travel from one universe to the other and doing side quests, and we've pretty much had this already confirmed now. I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing, but when you get actors that start yapping in press tours about, yo, I'm just so grateful that this is a female-led movie. It's like, I mean, not only are you spoiling the movie that most of the audience don't really care, but you're going to annoy a big part of the audience. Now, I know exactly what the comments are already going to say, but if it's true, it's true. You're not actually honoring the source material if you're going to change the source material because it's too corny. And Vanessa and Pedro are probably going to tarnish this movie because this movie is already hard enough to sell because the test screen and information coming back didn't say anything fantastic about Reed Richards acting or Vanessa Kirby. The only really good feedback it says was about Galactus, and that's an English lad, so no wonder it was good feedback. So this is kind of a negative video, but Marvel needs this to absolutely slay. But I feel like Pedro and Vanessa are going to tank this movie based on what they're saying, also based on the bad test screenings, also based on the fact that it looks like the plot leaks were pretty much smack on a year and a half ago. But they've just slid a Robert Downey Jr., well, not even Robert Downey Jr., they've just slid a Doctor Doom scene into the end of it, and potentially a Chris Evans Fantastic Four scene in the end of it, post-credit scene, mid-credit scene, in order to get people to care about it. And based on online engagement stuff, no one really cares about this movie, which is bad because Marvel's been on a massive row of misses. I'm not including Deadpool and Wolverine. That was basically rage bait. That was basically nostalgia bait. So like always, guys, I know the comments are going to be interesting in this video. So like always, guys, I'll catch you in another video, guys, very soon. Catch you later.